Welcome to At Home with Music. I recently finished a series of scale exercise videos here on the channel. I covered all the major scales, minor scales, and scales based on modes. You can go to the Scale Exercises playlist to find these, and I'll leave a link in the description. Along with the scale exercises based on the modes, I also included a sample chord progression based on the chords formed from the notes of each mode. So I played the scale, and then I played a short chord progression using chords based on the notes from that particular mode. Now, one viewer commented, "I'm trying to understand the basis of the chord samples as they are played. I'm still a beginner, and sometimes progressions confuse me." And so this particular viewer was asking for some assistance in this matter, and this got me thinking. I need to explain how I arrived at the chord progressions that I used. And to do that, we need to go back and talk about the chords that are formed, or the chords that are constructed using each note in each mode scale. Now, this particular comment was posted on the video where I demonstrated the scale based on the Dorian mode. And then I played a short chord progression based on chords from the Dorian mode. So we'll start there. But we actually need to go just a little further back. In a previous video, I showed you how to construct three-note chords, or triads if you like, on every note of a scale. And we started with the C major scale. I'll leave a link to that video as well. So we found a lot of our basic chords in this way. We started on C, the first note of the scale, and we built a three-note chord using C, E, and G. And then we worked our way up the scale, building a three-note chord on each note of that scale. So we ended up with this one, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then now we're back on C. We also noted the quality of each chord, whether it was major, minor, or diminished. So the one chord, or the C major chord, let's just call it the one chord in a major scale, because this can be in any key. The one chord is major, the two is minor, the three chord is minor, the four is major, the five is major, the six is minor, the seventh chord is diminished, and then of course we're back on the one. And now that you have these chords, you can play basic chord progressions. For example, you can play 1, 4, 5, 1. And you can play that in any key. If we're in the key of F, F is now the 1. B flat is the 4. C is 5. F is 1. So you have that basic progression. You also have one like this. The old heart and soul progression. So you remember that now, how we got all these chords by building a three-note chord on each note of the major scale. Now we can do the same with the Dorian mode. And you'll find that we have a lot of the same chords, but now they are arranged differently. And so in this sense, the one chord in the Dorian mode, and we're working specifically here in D Dorian, Dorian mode based on D. You go back through those previous videos and you'll find that I play the Dorian mode starting on every note of the chromatic scale. But right now we're sticking with D Dorian. So we're starting here with D minor in D Dorian. Go to the next one. I'm starting on D Dorian, by the way, because we're using all white notes, so it's easy at this point to find these chords. So there is D minor, or the one chord, which is minor. Here is chord 2, the 2 chord in Dorian mode. In D Dorian, it would be E minor. And we have a major chord here on the 3, another major chord on the 4, minor chord on the 5, diminished on the 6th, major chord on the 7th, and now we are back to the 1 chord. In D Dorian, this would be D minor. Here's the progression that I played in that particular video. So we have the 1, 4, this is 6, 4, 1, there's our 5, back to 1. So you'll notice that every note of every chord contains notes that are found within the Dorian mode. And then you'll notice that I played that same progression based on every version of the Dorian mode. So for example, here it is in E Dorian. So that's how I arrived at those particular chords. That's how I created that particular chord progression. Now I did the same thing with every one of the modes, and if I tried to demonstrate that in every single mode, this is going to become a very long video. So perhaps I'll come back to this in the future and we'll demonstrate how the chords are built on each note of each mode. So for example, just to give you a preview, if we take the Mixolydian mode and we take G Mixolydian, so we have a major chord, a minor chord, diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major. And then you can create progressions using those particular chords. When we get into the subject of modes and chord progressions based on the modes, we've entered into a very big area of music. What's going to make this easier to grasp is to analyze some songs that employ the modes, and sometimes they switch between modes and keys, or from one mode to another mode. It can be a very interesting way to analyze a song. I think it'll give you a lot of insight into how songwriters work. Some of them do this without even realizing what they're doing. Others who have been fully educated in major and minor keys and modes, they do it on purpose, and they can create some very interesting and very memorable chord progressions and songs and compositions. It's a huge subject, so we'll keep pecking away at it here on At Home with Music. But I hope this has been helpful to help you understand how I arrived at the chord progressions that I used in these demonstrations of the modes, their scales, and then these chord progressions that I arrived at. So you can go back and review those scale exercise videos featuring the modes, and you should be able to understand a little more easily now how I created the chord progressions that go along with the scales. So if you have any questions, please be sure to leave those in the comments section. Any other comments, of course, I'd be happy to read those, and I make every effort to respond to every comment that I receive. And one final note. I have noticed that 94% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. That is an amazing thing, considering the number of subscribers that I have, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of them. It's amazing to me that 94% of you out there who are watching my videos have not subscribed to the channel. So it'll just take you a second. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Also ring the bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I try to upload at least 2 times a week, sometimes 3. And if you've seen my survey on doing a live stream, it's beginning to look like Saturday morning is going to be the time that I do this. Not sure yet. We'll see how the vote finally turns out. But I'm looking forward to going on live with you once a month starting in March of 2024. Thanks for watching. I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.